Step back to the legendary 12th or 13th century BCE, when the ancient city of Troy stood at the crossroads of myth and history. The Trojan War, immortalized in Homer's epic poems, was an extraordinary clash between the mighty Greeks and the formidable Trojans. Sparks flew over love, pride, and deception, most famously through the cunning Trojan horse, and countless heroes like Achilles, Hector, and Odysseus rose to fame. This legendary conflict not only shaped the fate of Troy but also left an indelible mark on Western culture and storytelling. Eager to uncover the full saga of heroes, battles, and surprises? Dive into the fascinating world of the Trojan War and discover the stories that echo through time. Mythical origins and the seeds of war. The judgment of Paris set the entire conflict in motion. According to Greek mythology, Prince Paris of Troy was tasked to decide who was the fairest among Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. Each goddess offered him tempting rewards, but Aphrodite promised him the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen, Queen of Sparta. Paris's choice to award Aphrodite incited the wrath of the others, setting divine forces in motion. This reflects the strong role of gods in Greek culture and the anthropomorphic explanations for major events. Helen's abduction, or elopement, is central to the myth. Helen, famed for her beauty, was the wife of Menelaus, king of Sparta. Paris visited Sparta under the guise of diplomacy, but absconded with Helen to Troy, either by seduction or force, depending on the version. This act was both personal and political. Marriage pacts cemented alliances, and Helen's defection was a direct insult to Menelaus and his brother Agamemnon, king of Mycenae. The Greek world's honor-centric values demanded redress. The Oath of Tyndareus and the Greek alliance laid a common framework for Greek action. Before marrying Helen, her suitors swore to defend her chosen husband, a clever solution devised by Odysseus. This formed the foundation for the Greek alliance, which assembled kings and heroes from across the Aegean. Socially, this reveals the importance of oaths, kinship, and heroic duty in Mycenaean society. The political landscape of the Aegean and Anatolia provided fertile ground for conflict. Mycenaean Greece was a patchwork of powerful kingdoms. Troy, situated at a strategic point near the Dardanelles, Hellespont, controlled key trade routes between the Black Sea and Mediterranean. Disputes over access and influence, masked in myth, point to deeper economic rivalries that may have inspired the legendary narrative. The role of the gods in human affairs was paramount in ancient Greek storytelling. Major deities took sides. Hera and Athena favored the Greeks, while Aphrodite and Apollo supported Troy. Divine intervention was used to explain luck, fate, or disaster, serving as a narrative device but also reflecting true Greek religious beliefs in which gods shaped mortal destinies and justified war. The muster, heroes, armies, and the journey to Troy. Agamemnon, as Overking of Mycenae, assumed command of the expedition due to his prestige and resources. Historical Mycenae, peaked circa 1350 to 1200 BCE, was one of the most powerful Greek city-states, making Agamemnon's leadership plausible. His motivations were intertwined: avenging his brother, gaining personal glory, and perhaps extending Mycenaean influence into Anatolia. Odysseus of Ithaca and Achilles of Thea are paramount figures. Odysseus, famed for his cunning intelligence, initially feigned madness to avoid the war but was compelled to join. Achilles, son of the goddess Thetis and the greatest warrior, was prophesied to play a decisive role. Each hero represented ideals: cunning, strength, youth, and tragic fate. Their participation added legendary gravitas to the expedition, and they had individual motivations: honor, destiny, and glory. The fleet assembled at Aulis, a port in Boeotia. The sources list over 1,000 ships, signaling the alliance's size and the logistical feats needed even in a mythical context. When the fleet was becalmed, Agamemnon was compelled to sacrifice his daughter Iphigenia to appease Artemis. A story reflecting ancient beliefs about divine appeasement, the tension between personal duty and public necessity, and the cost of leadership. The journey itself involved detours, delays, and omens. Philoctetes was abandoned on Lemnos due to a snakebite, yet later his divine bow would be needed for victory, emphasizing the Greeks' interplay of destiny, loyalty, and pragmatism. The voyage mirrors both known seafaring practices and adds epic trials, embedding memorials to real and romanticized Aegean travel. The arrival at Troy signaled the start of the formal conflict. Troy's strategic and impressive citadel, likely corresponding to the archaeological Hisarlik site in modern northwestern Turkey, dominated access between Asia and Europe. The initial Greek landing, the myths state, resulted in minor skirmishes, failed negotiations, and the bitter realization that their endeavor would be long, arduous, and costly, setting the tone for a war of attrition. The siege, battles, diplomacy, and key events. The Greek siege of Troy, described as lasting 10 years, ca. 1194 to 1184 BCE in tradition, was marked by periodic fighting, raids on Trojan allies, and attritional warfare. Both sides suffered losses, and the Greek camp experienced dissension and famine, while Troy's defenses held. The protraction reflects difficulties of ancient siege warfare and the resilience of fortified Anatolian cities. Achilles' anger and withdrawal from battle, following a quarrel with Agamemnon over the captive Briseis, is central to Homer's Iliad. Achilles, the Greeks' key warrior, steps aside, causing setbacks and deaths among the Greeks. This episode explores the conflict between individual honor and collective need, a core Greek societal tension, as well as the power of rage and pride. Notable duels and deaths shattered expectations on both sides. Hector, Troy's champion and heir, killed Patroclus, Achilles' close companion, prompting Achilles' return to battle and his epic revenge. Symbols of chivalry, fate, and the tragedy of premature death unfold. Even victors were destined to suffer. These duels highlight individual heroism amidst collective calamity. Diplomacy and subterfuge persisted. Both sides sought omens, alliances, and truce talks. Trojan envoys attempted to resolve the conflict through negotiation, offering Helen's return, but Greek insistence on unconditional surrender and compensation prevailed. Internal politics in Troy oscillated between hope, despair, and defiance, reflecting realpolitik under siege. Involvement of non-Greek and Anatolian contingents, such as the Lycians under Sarpedon and the Amazons, expanded the conflict's scope. This inclusion shows Troy's broader regional alliances and the interconnected nature of Aegean-Anatolian politics. It also hints at the cosmopolitan and diverse world of late Bronze Age Western Anatolia. The fall of Troy. Ruses, catastrophe, and aftermath. The wooden horse stratagem is the most iconic moment. Conceived by Odysseus, the Greeks built a massive wooden horse and concealed select warriors within. Pretending to withdraw, the Greeks left the horse at Troy's gates as a gift. The Trojans, against the warnings of priest Laocoon and others, brought it within their walls, believing the war was over. At night, the Greek force emerged and opened the gates to the returning army, leading to Troy's capture. This tale exemplifies cleverness trumping brute force, illustrating Greek esteem for intelligence in warfare. The sack of Troy was brutal and complete. Greek forces killed King Priam, Hector's father, at the altar. The city was looted, temples desecrated, and population enslaved or killed. Queen Hecuba, Cassandra, Andromache, and other women faced captivity. The violence underscored the ancient world's harsh realities after a city's fall and left deep scars in myth and memory. Aeneas' escape, carrying his father Anchises and son Ascanius, marks a notable survival. According to later Roman myth, Virgil's Aeneid, Aeneas would found the lineage leading to Rome, creating a legendary ancestral link between Greeks, Trojans, and Romans. His story demonstrates the enduring power of exile, resilience, and the refounding of peoples after catastrophe. The fate of the Greek heroes was often grim. Many, such as Agamemnon and Odysseus, faced hardships returning home, the Nostoi legends. Agamemnon was famously murdered by his wife Clytemnestra upon returning to Mycenae, highlighting the domestic consequences and endless cycles of vengeance associated with war, and reinforcing the tragic dimensions of heroism. Modern archaeological evidence supports some historical basis for the destruction of Troy. Multiple layers at Hisarlik show violent destruction circa 1200 BCE. While not directly confirming the myths, this provides a historical substrate for the legend, suggesting memories of real conflicts at Troy informed later tales. Legacy, cultural memory and modern impact. The Iliad and Odyssey, attributed to Homer, 8th century BCE, established foundational texts for Western literature. Their themes, heroism, fate, glory, the consequences of rage, are still studied worldwide. They shaped not only Greek but Roman education, and continue to inform modern storytelling, drama, and philosophy. The Trojan War influenced visual and performing arts across millennia. From Greek vases and sculptures to Renaissance paintings and modern films, scenes like Achilles slaying Hector and the Trojan horse have become universal symbols. These motifs carry deep archetypal meaning, addressing war, loss, and cunning. Historically, the war's myth served Greek colonial and political interests. Claims of descent from Trojan or Greek heroes justified the founding of cities and struggles for local supremacy in Anatolia and the Aegean. The Romans, for instance, claimed Trojan descent to legitimize their rise. Such legendary ancestry underpinned real-world politics. Archaeology at Troy, Hisarlik, begun in the 19th century by Heinrich Schliemann and continued by later teams, spurred the birth of scientific archaeology. Efforts to distinguish fact from fiction fostered a more critical, interdisciplinary approach to the ancient world. The question of Troy's reality fostered a dialogue between myth and material evidence. The Trojan War's themes remain relevant. Debates over honor versus pragmatism, consequences of conflict, migration, and cultural blending. The legend has inspired modern literature, film, like Troy, 2004, and even geopolitical metaphors. The ongoing search for Troy embodies humanity's desire to reconcile myth with history, bridging the worlds of imagination, scholarship, and collective memory.